Media days this week for area teams all across the state of Alabama. Coming up, you're going to hear from the coaches and players as we get ready for a new season. Plus, we had a pair of recent commits stop by the studio. We sat down with Callaway's Keandre Jones, who's committed to Auburn, and Opelika's Cade Blackman, who's heading to Samford. It's all on the last call, and it starts right now. Welcome back to The Last Call. I'm your host, Justin Holbrook. We're itching for football to start just like you. If you're like me, you've been binging Last Chance U, trying to get a quick football fix before the season starts. Well, we've got plenty of football for you, so let's run it back. Last week we had SEC Media Days, and this week we had the same thing for Alabama high school football. On day 1, 9 teams from all across the area came to Opelika for this annual event. Let's start with the only area team to win a state championship last year, the Lanett Panthers. It was the first ever state title in football for the Panthers, who are moving from 2A to 1A this year.
They know just the joy of winning it was just overwhelming, and I want that feeling again. And with what we got coming back, if they stay focused and be the best that they can be, I think with God's will and no injuries, we'll have a chance to be back.
Me choosing Oregon was a great decision because I feel like, brotherhood, like these guys, we grow together, and I feel like when I went on a visit, I feel like the brotherhood I feel here. So, I mean, since I'm being far, I want to be comfortable around people, and I feel like I can be comfortable around those guys. So that's a big part on that.
Lanett may be a 1A team, but they've got some players who could play 7A like Traquez. Speaking of which, the Auburn Tigers were there as well on day 1. We heard from fourth-year head coach Adam Weingarten about the challenges of coaching a younger team.
We'll have 5 or so new faces on offense or defense that'll be starting. Some of those guys are going to be 10th graders, so they're going to have to mature quick. We play in the highest level football in the state, so they're going to have to grow up really quick.
The Tigers play rival Opelika in week 2 and close out the season on the road at Central. Just down the road is the Beauregard Hornets. They won a state title 2 years ago, but trying to get back will be a big challenge with only 3 returning starters on both defense and offense.
He was somebody I could learn from because he was really elusive. I'm more of, I want to hit you. That's me. But learning a few things from him helped me out, moves here and there. But he was a good back to learn from, and I feel like I could fill his shoes pretty well.
Well, as a coach, I think forever, you sit there and you dream about it, you tell the kids they can reach it, and then when you finally do, it makes not only those players but your community to believe, and the more support you get from around that community helps you.
Before Media Days wrapped up with 6 more area teams on Thursday, the AHSAA addressed the topic that's going to affect teams all across the state: instant replay. This year, the AHSAA made the decision to make instant replay mandatory for football state championships for 7A all the way to 1A. Replay is also available to all teams during the regular season, but will cost $3,000 for the first year. Steve Savarese, the executive director of the AHSAA, kicked off the final day by explaining why it's so important to have this new feature.
We'll probably overturn very few calls, but if we can overturn the egregious call, that's what we're trying to do. We're glad we're at the forefront. I'd rather be at the forefront than following someone else.
Savarese said 25 teams currently have instant replay for the upcoming season. After paying the first $3,000, the cost for each team will drop the following years. The rest of Media Days featured local players and coaches. Let's start with the Lafayette Bulldogs. Last year, the Dogs posted an 8-2 record, making it to the second round of the playoffs. Head coach James Lucas explained what his biggest impact has been so far during his first 3 years with the team.
When I first got there, I heard about a lot of the kids was leaving Lafayette, going to other places, and they were becoming stars at Opelika, Beauregard, and so forth. And so one of the things I did was I got all my people on the field. Whether they started on defense, offense, or special team, they hit the field every time. And so that kept them at home.
Keeping players at home is not hard for the Central Red Devils. The Power 5 factory recently saw quarterback Peter Parrish commit to LSU, while the entire secondary has D1 offers.
As a young athlete, having all the attention that you have and the power that you have, like being able to influence guys and doing what you do, I mean, it's a big responsibility. You got to have the public eye, you doing everything right. So just being in that spotlight at such a young age, you want to do right.
One of the things that got me back here, when you overall look at what we got, we may not be as big an area as Birmingham or Mobile, but the East Alabama schools have the best talent and the best coaching.
Central, by the way, has lost in the state semifinals 3 years in a row. The Dogs from Opelika will host the Red Devils in Week 5. Last year, Opelika fell in the quarterfinals, but there's a new top dog in longtime assistant Eric Speakman, who's now the third head coach in 4 years.
You know, you go to the grocery store, and I don't know if it, you know, now that I'm the head coach, people actually talk to me. When I was an assistant, I don't know if they just avoided me or they didn't say a whole lot, but now everybody in town's excited.
Valley, Springwood, and Notasulga were also in attendance on the last day. If you didn't hear from your team this week, don't worry. Over the next few weeks, we're going to preview the season for all of our Alabama and Georgia teams. Opelika starts its season on the road at Callaway, and they're going to have to deal with one of the biggest players in our area, Keandre Jones. 2 weeks ago, the 6'4", 341-pound offensive lineman committed to the Auburn Tigers, and he stopped by the studio earlier this week.
It came down to my family. I want to be really close to my family, and Coach Malzahn is a really God-fearing man, and his whole program is based around that, and I really want to be a part of that so I can grow in my faith and things like that. And it's also really good football. We're going to pack the stadium just about every game, no matter who we're playing. The night games there are crazy. The fans, it's a real family atmosphere. I love it there.
You talked about the family being of importance. In your recruiting video, you brought your mom on. Talk about that experience and that whole, how that came to fruition, how that idea came in.
It was crazy because I had no intentions on making a video, but I committed, and coaches were like, you should probably make a video. So a couple days later, I texted somebody and I was like, would I be able to make a video with you? And he said, yes, that's fine. And my mama decided to be in it, and it was just a pretty cool experience to get her, to everybody to see her face too.
Now, Auburn, you are the third commitment in the last year, offensive line-wise. Do you feel that Coach Malzahn is making more of a commitment to the offensive line now with adding players like you?
Yes, he is. He missed on a lot of guys last class, and he only signed 2 guys, I think. So this class is going to be a big class. Might sign 5 to 6 linemen. We need top-notch linemen that can play early. So that's what we're going to try to do.
And then coming from Callaway, obviously you're a big guy. You're ready for the college level.
Yes, sir.
50 pounds. Are you kind of a giant among men at Callaway back last year, or is it kind of built more of, you know, just guys your size?
It depends. We have a couple guys around my size. At practice, we go against scout teams. They're a little bit younger guys. But when we get into the playoffs in our region and stuff like that, and we play bigger teams out of region too, like Harris County and things like that. So when we play out of region and in region and get into the playoffs, it's kind of evens out everybody. So yes, sir.
And finally, who are you looking forward to playing against most in the SEC?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Georgia. That's one of my biggest things. I'm ready to play Georgia. I got a lot of friends that going to play at Georgia when we get there, and I'm really looking forward to that.
All right, joining me now is Opelika quarterback Cade Blackman. Cade, just last week you said you're committed to Samford to play football. First question, why Samford? What was it about the school that attracted you?
Well, academically, you know, they have a history of academic excellence, and, you know, that kind of drew me in. It made me want to go there. Secondly, with football, you know, they've been historically, they fit my game. They like to throw the ball around a lot, which is what I love to do, so it just seemed kind of like a perfect match.
Jake Bentley, obviously, he's playing at South Carolina as a quarterback. Now you're going to a big school for football. What does that say about the Opelika program, that guys such as yourself playing quarterback can go to the next level?
You know, he sets the standard for us. You know, I remember growing up, I was in 8th, 9th grade, and I was watching him, and so he kind of set the example for me. And the biggest thing he taught me was that playing quarterback, you can't think, one, you can't take things too serious, and 2, you know, it's a lifestyle. You know, you take it with you everywhere you go.
One of the things that Jake mentioned was that the offensive line never gets that much credit. It's always, you know, the quarterback is the leader of the team. But what about the entire group stands out?
Well, you know, they make us roll. As they go, we go, and everybody thinks it's the quarterback. It's the quarterback's job, you know. As quarterback goes, the team will go. Right. And some of that is true in the leadership aspect. But without an offensive line, it's hard for me to do anything. It's hard for the running back to do anything. So them guys up in the trenches, they set the standard, and they got it physical, you know. From practices, you know, they bang on each other every day. So, and skill guys don't do that. So I think they deserve a lot of credit.
What is something about this year's team that might be different from the Opelika teams that we've seen in the past?
Well, something different. You know, we're going to try to play a lot faster than we used to. We got a new system and all this, and so we're going to try to play a lot faster. But the same things you'll see. You know, we'll be physical. You know, we're not afraid of anybody. We're going to be hard and tough-nosed. So
the coaching staff at Sanford, what are they like?
Well, you know, they're pretty much the same like Opelika coaches. You know, they teach physical. Like their hashtag on Twitter is fun, fast, physical, and so it's the same thing as them. They believe in academics first, just like we do at Opelika.
All right, so obviously Coach Speakman, this is his first year at Opelika. What have you learned from him so far, and what's his message been to the team since he joined in the winter?
You know, I've been around him for a long time, growing up as an Opelika kid, and he's implementing the discipline. He wants us to play discipline, he wants us to play fast, and he wants us to be physical, and he's really carried that over him, especially being a defensive coach, and we're starting to all buy into what he's got. You know, he's respected around the state, and we all believe in him.
All right, Cade, thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck, man. Look forward to seeing you in the field this year.
I appreciate that.
All right, Cade Blackman. Still to come in the last call, the Columbus Lions fighting for a home playoff game. Could they keep that hope alive and stay unbeaten at the Jungle? We'll have highlights for you. Plus, Auburn Athletic Director Allen Green stopped by Columbus for the first time on Thursday. He's the only AD in school history with no ties to the school. So, how's he been received so far? Hear from the man himself after this. Last night was the final home game for the Columbus Lions, and they needed a lot of help to secure home field advantage in the playoffs, so head coach Jason Gibson added Auburn standout Cameron Petway to the roster. And there's the man on the sideline everyone came to see, and Coach Gibson put him to work early on. Petway goes around the outside, takes the pitch. He's going to barrel into the pile. The refs would have to review it, and after doing so, they say, yeah, he got in for 6. Lions up first. They're back in the red zone to start the second. Mason Espinoza to Deron Neal right into your living room. We're tied at 14. Espinoza would leave the game with a leg injury and would not return. Maine punches back, though. Jonathan Bain, he's going to go out and finds Rob Brown behind the defense. Easy trot into the end zone. And the Mammoths are up 21-14. The Lions offense stalled without Espinoza. Former Auburn quarterback Jeremy Johnson replaced him, but this about summed up his night, getting sacked as time expires. Lions lose their third game in a row, 42-35. It's their first home loss of the year, and the first time Gibson has lost 3 in a row. Back in Columbus, Auburn Athletic Director Allen Green stopped by the Fountain City for the first time on Thursday. Green was at the Green Island Country Club speaking to alums who now live in the city. The former Buffalo AD has been with Auburn since January, and even though he has no ties to Auburn, he says he already feels like part of the Tiger family.
The Auburn family has embraced me, and that was something that I think I wasn't quite ready for that. I figured there would be some people that would be excited about my hire and some that weren't. Overwhelmingly, though, the Auburn family has been very accepting of me and my family, and that makes it so much easier for us to call Auburn home.
Coming up, we have a new sports director. Rex Castillo joins us on the last call, and we'll help you get to know him right after the break. Welcome back to the last call. This is Rex Castillo. He is our new sports director. I told you Brendan was leaving, but don't worry. We have Rex in the house. Rex, just tell the people where you're coming from and what you hope to accomplish here at WRBL.
Well, first of all, I'm really glad to be here. I'm coming from our sister station, WSAV, in Savannah, Georgia, our NBC affiliate out there. And this was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. There is a great amount of athletic talent here, not only at the high school level, but of course, being in the heart of SEC country. We have Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, all within our reach. And of course, I have to be very careful to not offend any of our fans. Make sure we will have all you guys covered. But overall, what I want to accomplish here is I want the people to know that we're here to use kind of our slogan, on your side, to tell your stories. We're lucky enough to tell the stories of all these kids, whether they're playing on Saturdays at an amazing SEC game, on Friday nights, which are incredible here, both in Georgia and in Alabama, or if they're on the Little League Diamond. I'm just really excited to be part of this community and see what the Chattahoochee Valley has to offer.
Well, obviously, Fort Benning is a big part of our area, and you have a military background. Tell our viewers a little bit about that.
Well, I spent 6 years in the Texas Army National Guard, and it was one of the life-changing experiences of my life. It was tough, but it gave me the self-discipline and a lot of determination to get the job done. So, of course, as a veteran, I have all the respect in the world for those who do serve currently. So thank you, all of you who serve our country to protect our freedom and allow us to do this great job. So any opportunity that I have to work with the great soldiers over there at Fort Benning, I'm sure we'll have some great stories to tell as well.
The fans deserve to know, who are you a fan of? What teams do you like? Who do you follow?
Well, being originally from Houston, a lot of the Houston professional teams is who I root for. So James Harden finally got his MVP. I'm a big fan of the Texans. There you go.
That's right.
Big fan of my Houston Texans. I'm a big fan of my Houston Astros, who finally got a World Series underneath their belt. When it comes to college, I do have a little sister who went to Texas A&M, so that kind of have a little rooting interest for them. But been a Texas Longhorns fan for most of my life, so that makes it interesting with that.
Sorry
dynamic.
about that.
Yeah. See, well, there you go. College football is so special, especially in this part of the country, and especially in the SEC. So, I mean, to have those three amazing schools, the ability to cover, I mean, you understand.
Oh, yeah. And you said you're a soccer fan. We cover Atlanta United a little bit here and there. What is it about the sport that kind of attracts you? Obviously, it's a football country, but it's growing.
Well, that kind of football is, I think, one thing, no matter what sport you play, it's always, it's a universal language.
Right.
So that's what's really unique with soccer is that, your teammates could speak a different array of languages, no matter if it's Spanish, English, Arabic even at that point. But everyone can understand that when you have that connection and you have the ability to play the world's game and you see teamwork come together as it does, beautifully as it does, and with Atlanta United, I mean, the environment in there is amazing. And that's why I'm a big fan of that game.
It's great to have you as part of our family. I'm looking forward to it. Our viewers are looking forward to it. So, buzzwords, we're on your side. Whatever you want, we're going to be here for you. And Rex, it's a pleasure to have you, man.
Great to be here, man.
All right, let's get to it. Coming up on the last call, our so-called experts make picks for the upcoming week with Sports Director Rex Castillo making his debut. Can anyone knock me off of first place? They're going to try after the break. Welcome back to the last call. It's time for Picks of the Week. You just met Rex a little bit ago. He's here now for the first time to do picks. So this week, kind of an interesting mix-up. We're doing NASCAR for the first time, but before we get to that, it's the game in Canton. We're going to see if it's played, as long as the field doesn't melt. Rex, who you taking? It's Baltimore or Chicago?
Well, interesting enough, Chicago is 4-0 in these Hall of Fame games, and it's a real interesting stat, and I think because with Trubisky having more experience, I'm actually going to lean with Chicago, but I think we could see a lot of great stuff from Lamar Jackson. He'll actually, as explosive as he was in Louisville, it's probably really interesting to see what he can do on that game.
Yeah, I like, for that reason, Lamar. I think he's going to get a lot of snaps, and I think he's going to be a difference in this game, so I'm going Baltimore. Nice.
Everybody's overlooking elite Joe Flacco. Yeah, sure. Still his team. Right. Still his team for now, right? All right, so I'm going to take the Ravens. Jack?
I'm going with Baltimore too, but not because of the reason you are. The reason that you are. Lamar Jackson's going to play a lot in this game, and I predict that he might have a field day against that Bears second team defense.
Wow, everybody's liking them. Connor, you always do NASCAR for your personal pick. I guess we're just going to move it up to this.
Yeah, so what is this, week 22?
Something like that.
All right, there we go.
Go ahead.
I'm going Martin Truex. He won this race last year. He's very good at Watkins Glen. Martin Truex Jr.
I mean, it might as well just copy-paste from him, but I went with Kyle Busch, top of the rankings right now.
Good pick.
See, all right, cool. As long as he said it's a good pick, I kind of know what I'm doing with NASCAR.
He gets a stamp of approval.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Kevin Harvick. I think he's done pretty well this season. I think he can do it again.
Those are the big three.
That's it right there. So, Jack, who's yours then?
I'm going to take a wild card, a guy who's going to win this race to get into the playoffs. A.J. Allmendinger. He's won this race before.
And a great last name.
That pick.
Yeah, great last name, too.
Another stamp of approval.
Let's stick with Jack and do personal pick.
Personal pick, I'm going to go to the Diamond. The rematch of last year's World Series. You'll love this pick, Rex. I'm taking Houston to win the series against the Dodgers on the road.
Let's do it.
I'm just trying to get good with Rex right now.
It's working. It's definitely working.
Hey, we're already wrestling fans.
Yeah, we got
the
MLS All-Star game August 1st in Mercedes-Benz.
That's right.
A couple days after that, Atlanta United is going to beat Toronto.
Okay. Nice. Okay. And Rex?
Well, my first personal pick, I'm actually going to the UFC.
All right.
Going UFC 227. Yes. We got TJ Dillashaw against Cody Garbrandt. These guys hate each other, so it makes for a great fight.
Yes.
TJ, the reigning champ right now. Cody, if you ever watch UFC, he's a really, really emotional fighter.
In your face.
In your face.
He doesn't like a lot of people.
Right.
That way.
Perfect business that he's in for, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I think that he kind of gets in his own way sometimes. TJ is a little more calm, cool, and collected. Yes, they talk trash to each other, but TJ, I think, retains the championship.
I was actually going to pick TJ as well, but now that you're doing that, I'm going to go the other way. I'll take Garbrandt. He's a kid from Ohio.
Okay.
Interesting enough, he grew up, he was a coal miner, dropped out of school, went into coal mining, and then he decided, I like fighting people. So he went to the UFC, kind of similar to what Conor McGregor was when he was over in Ireland as a plumber. So I love his backstory, even though he's not easy to like.
Not at all.
And I'm also going to take Mighty Mouse just because that guy hasn't lost in so long. So Demetrius Johnson in the fight before that.
There you go.
All right, that's it for Picks of the Week. Welcome to Rex. Let's see how his first week goes. Through the power of TV, I'm back over here. Larry Wayne Chipper Jones Jr. is officially a Hall of Famer. He never batted leadoff in his career, but he went first at Cooperstown today, and the reason is pretty good. His wife Taylor is 9 months pregnant, and she's due tomorrow, so if anything happened, he had to get out of there pretty quick to be with her. Luckily, their baby held off so that Dad could be part of this moment, seeing his name and plaque join the greatest baseball players of all time. Chipper Jones joins Ken Griffey Jr. as the only Hall of Famers taken with the first pick in the Major League Baseball draft. Here's part of his induction speech from this afternoon. Oh, we don't have that for you. I'm sorry about that. A big part of that, though, he was thanking his Braves fan, also thanked his manager, Bobby Cox. Coming up on the last call, we've got two special things you have to see this week. Braves pitcher Sean Newcomb goes for history, and Cade Blackman and I were joined by a special guest during his interview. That's coming up. Okay, two videos for you this week. Let's start with the Braves pitcher Sean Newcomb. He gets a strikeout in the 8th inning, so he's 3 outs away from being the first Braves pitcher to get a no-hitter since 1994. 1 strike away, and it's a hit. The Braves fans, they're going to have to keep on waiting. In the second video, you saw our interview with Cade Blackman, but you didn't see was our special guest in the studio. Check this out. Bam. Are you kidding? Somehow he got away from us. All right. Thanks so much for watching The Last Call. Same time next week. We're always on at 11:30 Eastern. Have a great night. You can follow us on social media at WRBL Sports. That's both Twitter and Facebook. Have a good one.